Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Thursday, June 4, 2026 and I'm Abdul Majid Awan. Today's headlines: SpaceX has targeted a record-breaking $75 billion IPO and they have set a price. We know now, according to reports, mainly from Axios, that their one share will list at $135 and it's set. The whole IPO is set to eclipse Aramco's $29 billion listing, which is a world record. Apart from that, we're going to talk about one of the Iranian restaurants, which was born in London, has expanded to Abu Dhabi amid regional conflict and also Gulf's hospitality push. Greek shipping tycoon Marinakis says ship owners could accept Hormuz transit fee. That is what is his idea. He's owner of two football clubs as well. Very interesting person. But the last story is 20,000 seafarers are stranded in the Gulf despite ceasefire, and this is according to the UN body which handles shipping and everything. It's called the International Maritime Organization. A very nice mix of stories, but market updates. Why yesterday the markets were red? Because Iran and US have again traded blows. Some fighting happened in the Strait of Hormuz, but then Iran attacked Kuwait and some other Gulf countries and the US bases in those countries. So that is happening and the markets are in peril. All the Gulf markets, DFM, Dubai's financial market, Abu Dhabi's securities exchange, Qatar's exchange, Saudi's Tadawul exchange, Egypt's EGX 30, all of them were in red yesterday. And globally also, apart from some microchip stocks and some AI plays, everything was in red. So we're hoping for something good today. Mr. Trump says that they are going to talk to Iran now, and in a post he also said that he's now directly going to contact and talk to Mujtaba Khamenei, who is the son of the late Khamenei, the main leader. And he's saying that maybe once they reach a peace deal, he may go and meet him face to face for the first time. So all of this is happening. But amidst all of this, and since we're talking about markets, one of the biggest IPOs in the history of IPOs, in the history of listings, in the history of stock exchanges is coming soon. So SpaceX is preparing a $75 billion initial public offering. It was supposed to be a $1.25 trillion offering. There were numbers which have floated like $1.7 trillion IPO, but now finally we've realized, we've come to a consensus point that it will be a $75 billion IPO because the price has been set for a single share price at $135 and it would dwarf all previous listings in the world, in the history, positioning it to surpass Saudi Aramco's 2019 debut, currently the world's largest IPO at $29.4 billion. Imagine, this is the world record and now SpaceX is going to nearly 3x this price. The company said it plans to offer 555.6 million shares at $135 each, implying a valuation of around $1.77 trillion. If completed at this scale, the deal would mark the most valuable IPO in history by a wide margin. Aramco's listing in Saudi Arabia in 2019 set the global benchmark. Meanwhile, Alibaba holds the US record, the American record, at $25 billion. SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk as a space launch company, that's it, that was the idea, now generates most of its revenue from its Starlink satellite internet business. The group is increasingly positioning itself around AI and orbital data infrastructure. So they're trying to build AI data centers in space also. But the company, the market, Elon Musk himself, the richest man in the world, argues that the AR market could reach $26.5 trillion soon, in nearly the next 5 years. And this figure eventually will lead to what we're seeing, that this market is so big, the space market is so big, that an IPO by SpaceX is at the perfect time right now. Meanwhile, the IPO has thrown a spotlight on the significant Gulf footprint already embedded in SpaceX's cap table. You know, Smashi Business, we talk about the driven dreamers, doers of the Arab world. So we have to tell you who has a stake in the SpaceX IPO and how it affects them. Saudi-listed Kingdom Holding Company, chaired, headed, founded by His Highness Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, and has disclosed that it has a combined stake alongside Prince Al Waleed's private office amounts to 0.63% of SpaceX, and which is nearly worth $8.3 billion if the valuation is 1.25, and if the valuation of SpaceX as a company is $1.75 trillion, the Kingdom holding share of 0.63 becomes $10.6 billion. Prince Al Waleed owns 78% of Kingdom holding, while PIF, the Saudi sovereign wealth fund, $1 trillion giant, holds a 17% stake, with the remaining 5 as free float. The disclosure has sent Kingdom holding shares to their highest level in more than a decade. We did a story on Smashi Business that they raised to their highest level on Sunday, and they're still continuing there. And this shows you that how global technology investments, not in local, not regional, but global investments, are increasingly influencing valuations in also Gulf capital markets. Beyond SpaceX, KHC, Kingdom Holding Company, has built a broader Elon Musk portfolio as well. The company has invested $800 million in total in XAI, which is now a part of SpaceX. And this was done at the Series B and Series C funding rounds, making Prince Al Waleed bin Talal the second largest shareholder in both X and XAI. Eventually, X was merged into XAI, and the whole XAI group, the holding company, was merged into SpaceX. So now, whatever Prince Al Waleed bin Talal invested in X and XAI, he has that investment now in SpaceX eventually. But also Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, PIF, again the $1 trillion giant, currency also holds just under 1% of SpaceX also, and is reportedly in talks to commit approximately $5 billion as an anchor investor in the SpaceX IPO. There is no confirmation from either PIF or Musk, but it is reported that $5 billion of this whole IPO, out of the $75 billion, $5 billion will come from PIF as an anchor investor. And this move would primarily serve to preserve PIF's proportional ownership when new shares are issued. The potential anchor commitment would add a new chapter to the growing ties between PIF and Musk's portfolio. PIF's AI arm, Humane, also had previously partnered with XAI to build 500 megawatts of computing capacity in Saudi Arabia. They also funneled $3 billion because of that arrangement. So Humane is also invested in XAI. Meanwhile, other Gulf investors, you want to look at it, Qatar Investment Authority, which is $580 billion sovereign wealth fund, and the Oman Investment Authority, which is nearly $1 trillion, also invested in XAI during a Series C round in December 2024. Abu Dhabi listed international holding company and Alpha Dhabi Holding each put $25 million into SpaceX way back in June 2022. This is all the companies, these are all the companies, these are all the funds, these are all the subsidiaries of the companies and subsidiaries or the subsidiaries of the sovereign wealth funds which have invested in SpaceX. The biggest question here that I was asked from a lot of people who I talked to about this was, how does it benefit? For example, if I, for example, am KHC and I invested in 2022, in 2023 in SpaceX, how do I benefit from this IPO? The idea is there is a new concept going around in the world that now IPOs are not to go to the public and get money. Now IPOs are done for, it's a theory, it's not a fact, it's a theory that has been floated around by every analyst and expert in this field, that for example, if I invested $100 million and then I waited 3 years and now the company is doing an IPO, my stake at the $100 million, I want it back somehow. And the companies usually go for an IPO to get extra money and expand or do something. Now they're going for an IPO to get money from the public market, from people like retail investors and us, take that money, give it back to the original stakeholders, the private equity owners, the people who bought the shares in private markets, pay them off and then continue forward. So it's in a way a company's method of paying off their original private investors so they can reap benefits and then the public markets can trade on it. It's a very nice concept. It's a little difficult to understand if you don't understand private equity, private markets and public markets. But when a company is not listed, it has not done an IPO, it's not gone to the public to hold some shares and buy some shares, then privately I can invest, but I won't be obliged or compelled to tell my stake in the company. Kingdom Holding does. It's very interesting that they openly talk about their stake in XAI and now SpaceX, but it's not obliged, it's not compelled, you're not forced to do it. But as a public company, you have to tell who owns how many shares, and you have to do your quarterly listings. There's also conversations around quarterly listings coming to an end soon across the globe, to be honest. Obviously, the US market set the trend, and there's a conversation that maybe soon enough, every company who does their earnings, shows their earnings, reports their earnings every quarter, they will make it only half yearly. So there will be only 2 earnings in every year. But there is another thing that has happened, and it's very interesting. A lot of retail traders, a lot of people like me, you, who don't have a $25,000 minimum portfolio. That means if you haven't invested $25,000 in stock markets, you can't do day trading. And day trading is where you buy a stock and within the next second you can sell it. You're only allowed 3 day tradings in a working 5-day week. And apart from that, if you're in the US, then you're allowed 4. But outside the US, for example, retail investors in Saudi, UAE who use Sarva, eToro, any other brand that you use Baraka, you use Thunder from Egypt, you're only around 3-day trades in a week. The problem was that a lot of times if you invest in something and it suddenly falls, you couldn't pull out if you've already done 3 trades. Now, June 4th, today, that thing is ending. There is no minimum balance. There is actually $2,000, but from $25,000 of requirement, do day trading to sell and buy anything at any time within the week. Now the limit is down to $2,000. You just need to have $2,000 in your trading account, and you can buy and sell anything, anytime on the stock markets. There is risks and rewards also. If you do it a lot, it's something called as revenge trading. For example, if I buy something at 100, goes down to 80, I sell it, and then I go in again at 80. Right that moment, no, it will go up. I will take my revenge. I will get my money back, and it falls down to 60. You lose a lot of money. So it will give rise to that if you remove the pattern day trading restrictions. But a lot of people who do options, who do a lot of different things in stock markets, they will be happy. Retail traders mainly is a very big market. It's a growing market in the Gulf and globally as well. People like me, you, single individuals who put their $5,000, $10,000 in the stock market, they will be happy that this restriction has been removed. So yeah, a lot to understand and know, I know, but there's a lot of other things happening. And the second story of the day is a very tasty story. London-born Iranian restaurant, they love to call themselves Persian, but all their food is Iranian. I've tasted it. Has opened a new venue in Abu Dhabi after launching recently in Riyadh. Earlier, continuing its rapid Gulf expansion despite ongoing regional stability linked to the, we all know, US-Israel-Iran war and Iran's subsequent attacks on the Gulf neighbors. The brand, founded by Kian Samiani, Berenjak, and inspired by Tehran's traditional kebab houses, has steadily scaled across the Middle East, with UAE operations already in Dubai and Sharjah. They opened a branch in Dubai in 2023, and then they opened a branch in Sharjah in 2024, and now they've opened a branch in Abu Dhabi in 2026. Before, obviously, their opening in the capital. The Abu Dhabi restaurant is operated with Bilhassa Hospitality and is located in a standalone villa in Al Bateen and features the 2-floor dining concept in an open kitchen, chef's table, and private dining space. Its expansion comes as hospitality operators across the region balance long-term consumer demand. That's the point of the story in a business show, that we have seen over the last 4 or 3 months that a lot of hospitality, a lot of F&B businesses, they were complaining about, or they could feel the pressure that less and less people were coming to their restaurants or ordering from their restaurants. We also did a report on Smashi Business about how people are preferring to stay in the house and order food rather than going to the physical branches. So all this is happening, and we see a restaurant go on a rampage. They opened their Riyadh branch also during the whole US-Israel-Iran war, and now the Abu Dhabi branch is there. It shows you that there is confidence in this market. Still, there is confidence. There is no idea being floated around outside of this region. In the region, we have seen our leadership keep us safe, handle all the problems there were, handle all the bombs that were thrown our way the best possible way that they could. Nearly 99% interceptions, the minimum damage to infrastructure, the minimum loss of lives. They've done the best, I think, in the history of any country being attacked, and especially UAE, which received nearly 60% of the drone and missile attacks from Iran during the peak of this war between US, Israel, Iran. We never took part in the war. We never went on the offensive. We never said that we were going to attack Iran. We were always on the defensive, and we always requested to Iran and US and everyone to come on the table and solve the problem rather than throwing bombs at each other. But across all of this, there was a consensus that maybe we'll see a dip in tourism. And we saw 625 million per month lost in Middle Eastern tourism. All these numbers, we did cover it on Smashi Business. The whole idea is that now, with a bit of certainty coming back, a bit of peace coming back, everything is going back to normal. And you don't see this across the globe, that some country which received thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of missiles and drones, comes back so quickly, makes a comeback within 3 months. So it's one of the things that you need to look forward to, take inspiration from the UAE, from Saudi, from even Qatar to an extent, that life runs normal, and that is why the leadership, being proactive, being people first, is so important. And that is why this story is very important, that the funds are constantly opening their offices in Abu Dhabi. Startups, one of the AI unicorn, we did a story, Positron AI, they recently opened an office in DIFC. So if you look at the money, it's still coming in. That shows you that whatever someone says on LinkedIn with 2,000 followers and whatever the Daily Mail writes in their opinion section from a person who I don't know and no one knows, the market, the money, the smart money will tell you the real story, that there is nothing wrong and everything is good and great in this region, and we are going to fight back and come back better, to be honest, from all of this. Quickly, the third story of the day is another person, another interesting person. Love this guy. Greek shipping tycoon Evangelos Marinakis has said he would be willing to pay the nearly $2 million reported transit fee through the Strait of Hormuz if it helps keep one of the world's most critical maritime choke points open amid heightened regional tensions and repeated disruptions to Gulf shipping. Speaking at the TradeWinds shipping conference in Athens, Greece, the Capital Maritime Group owner said paying $100,000 to $200,000 per vessel would be preferable to prolonged closures and costly diversions via routes such as the Cape of Good Hope. He argued that such fees could help offset damage already inflicted on global trade flows. Marinakis, who controls a fleet of 185 ships, including about 35 tankers, and also owns football clubs Nottingham Forest and Olympiacos, said he is positioning ships close to the strait in anticipation of a potential reopening. So his ships are there. His comments contrast with other major shipping firms, obviously including Chevron and Mitsui, OSK Lines. All of them are big giants in the shipping industry, which oppose any formal toll regime. Some of the peers of Marinakis warned that legitimizing fees could set a precedent for other strategic choke points in the world as well. So if he says he wants to pay money and can run away, not everyone is agreeing with him. But I think it's the frustration and the idea that, please, let's just open it and let trade flow. That is what has forced him to say that instead of just sitting there and things going bad, why not open it and just pay the money and just go through with it. I think it was some frustration coming out. But the last story of the day is also about the maritime industry. Sad story, a very heartfelt sad story. An estimated 20,000 seafarers remain stranded in the Gulf as security concerns continue to disrupt maritime traffic. And that is, according to UN's shipping agency, the International Maritime Organization, IMO. And they have said that the fragile ceasefire between US, Israel, Iran, and the lack of firm security guarantees make it too dangerous to evacuate crews from affected vessels. IMO Secretary General Arsenio Dominguez told Reuters the agency has been working with regional stakeholders, including officials in Oman, to establish a safe maritime corridor for ships seeking to leave the area. Meanwhile, some vessels are reportedly switching off transponders and hugging the Omani coastline under US military protection to reduce the risk of attacks and Iranian naval mines. Bloomberg reported all of this. Shipping firms are also repositioning vessels in anticipation of a potential US-Iran agreement that could reopen the key Gulf shipping routes. Most importantly, the Strait of Hormuz. We are nearly there. I think the environment and the talks, the messages coming out from US and Iran, we are nearly there. It may be someday that we see soon a resolution, a peace solution coming forward. I've been saying that for 3 months now, but still being hopeful and staying positive is the best remedy to somehow tackle all of this. So yeah, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description, but if you're watching it live, just go to any of our social media profiles and click on the link in bio and you can subscribe to our newsletter. This has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. Big shout out to 80,000 people who download our shows. I say this every day, but it makes me happy every day that you guys are the ones who make this possible. Every like, every comment, every engagement is important for us. Thank you so much for engaging with our content, and we love feedback. Send it us through comments, through emails. We would incorporate it in our content across all our assets. Have a great day. This is Abdul Majid Awan, and this has been the Smashi Business Show.